Today, I'm introducing a new series to the channel called Life Advice. This is going to be the show where I tell you what to do. As you can tell from today's title, when it's time to quit your job, this is something that you might not be affected by just yet. You know, there's definitely a lot of young people out there who play Call of Duty and who, I guess, talk about Call of Duty, who watch Call of Duty stuff. But, you know, for those of you who grew up watching, you know, your Woody's Gamer Tag and X-Jaws and, you know, your commentators who kind of set the pace for, you know, commentaries nowadays, this is going to be kind of like an homage to them. Is it homage? Homage? I don't even know what's the word. Who knows at this point? Let's talk about life. Let's talk about jobs, careers, right? This is kind of scary for those of you guys in high school or college. You know, not everybody equips you for this. A lot of the times in high school, you feel like you have to kind of know the trajectory for the rest of your life. And at least in the States, many kids don't know that. They don't know what they want to do with their life. They don't even know what college they're going to go to. They don't know what they're going to eat for breakfast tomorrow. It's actually crazy that we live in a world, at least again in the States, where, you know, a kid has to decide what he's going to do for the rest of his like 40 to 60 years of life. Maybe not 60, 40 to 50 years of life. When he has no clue what he's going to do tomorrow, right? It's kind of crazy how we set all these things into motion without having any clear path. And so, you know, I want to talk about, like, let's assume you got a job. Let's assume you graduated and everything like that. Let's talk about company culture. Let's talk about toxic companies. And of course, I want to talk about this because I was recently dealt in one. I was recently involved in one. Obviously not as the person who was toxic. I would hope, at least. I hope I'm not toxic, and I hope my coworkers, I don't know if they ever would watch this kind of video or know it's me or anything, but yeah, I would hope that they don't think that I was toxic. I want to talk about a couple of reasons to know why and when it's time to leave your job. I'm assuming if you're watching this, it's because you figure that you're being mistreated. You figure that you're being overworked, and these things you don't really need some random guy on the internet to tell you, like, hey, you're being overworked, it's time to leave. Instead, I want to talk about some of the things that, you know, maybe you're on the fence about. And this is a specific situation that I was in where you don't necessarily have something lined up, and maybe you really can't wait. Maybe you're just so miserable in your life that you really just would rather not wait until you have another job or another opportunity lined up before you know, close the book on this chapter. And so, you know, the first reason I would say is, obviously, you know, you guys probably already know this, but the environment is toxic, right? It's bad. And what does a toxic environment mean for you youngsters out there? Maybe you have no idea, right? But maybe this is something that can be applicable, you know, a few years down the line for you guys. Basically, in my opinion, and you can sound off in the comments if you disagree, but a toxic work environment to me is a place where you feel obviously mistreated. There's no like gray area in the book where you could be like, oh, maybe they didn't mean it this way. No, they are straight up dickheads to you. Okay. They are straight up assholes to your face. They don't appreciate you. They, you know, roast you. They yell at you. They just treat you badly. They treat you like, I don't know, like if you grew up with abusive parents, maybe like how your parents treated you, you know, and that's not right. Like if you made a mistake that cost them, like the company, like $1 million, like, okay, I can see why they would think that. But if you're handing in a report like 5 minutes behind when you're supposed to, and you're getting roasted and you're losing sleep over it, yeah, that place might be a little toxic, buddy. I would probably consider looking elsewhere, or at least talking to HR about it. These are not okay things, okay? And I think a lot of people, especially in this job market here in 2024, a lot of people are afraid to leave. A lot of people are just scared of like, oh, I keep seeing that, you know, my unemployed friend hasn't had a job, or my parents are telling me like, oh, it doesn't matter if you don't like your job. Like you should be thankful to even have one. And that's kind of like a boomer mentality. I'm not the biggest fan of that mentality. I do think though that you shouldn't be super, super picky to where you never end up at a job, and you shouldn't, you know, switch jobs every year or every like couple of years even. I mean, like, you know, if it's within your control, you shouldn't. But where was I even going with this? I was saying the environment is toxic, right? I think you guys kind of get the gist. If people are yelling at you, people are just mistreating you, and it's obvious, right? Like sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes it's like, oh, he's being mean, but like he was nice later. No, okay, it's not just about people being mean. It's about how you're treated. It's about how you feel. I've had a lot of toxic managers in the past, and I've had a lot of positive. I've had a lot of amazing managers in the past, you can easily tell the difference between the two. And if you can't, I mean, that means you probably need some more experience. And I would find out, quickly how they treat you or how you're treated, and kind of compare that with like your coworkers or whoever else may your friends from college or something like that. I would compare to see how they're treated, to see how you should be treated if you really don't know. Next reason to quit potentially is that you're being underpaid. This is kind of obvious, and this is something that happened to me. Basically, it was a two-man team, right? The entire like team of the scope of work took two people, and a coworker quit. My coworker buddy quit, and he was doing a lot of work, and so naturally, a lot of that stuff fell to me. I would say like 95% of the stuff ended up falling on me, and I was already doing a person's job. I'm doing my own job, right? And so to take on someone else's second job without being paid, without having any form of compensation, was kind of bafflingly crazy to me. How are you going to ask me to do another person's job, two people's jobs, for the same pay? They weren't giving me a promotion. They weren't asking me, like, oh, would you be able to temporarily do this for a few months until we get a replacement or something like that? No, it was just, here you go, get started. Like, let me know if you have any questions. That's it. No training and no bump in pay, no bump in promotion, just no opportunity. Just like, I felt underappreciated, and I think that's probably something that you're going to go through at some point. I have a lot of colleagues right now, I have a lot of coworkers and friends who are kind of going through a similar situation where if someone leaves, someone just dips because, let's say the market's getting better, for instance. There's not really that much time to train someone in 2 weeks. Despite what people say, let's say someone gives a 2 weeks notice, it's not the easiest thing to train someone in something super, super specific in 2 weeks. And so, again, it depends on your job. If you're doing some kind of tech or engineering thing, like, I have no clue, if you're doing something business, finance, accounting, it probably isn't the easiest thing. And I just want people to keep that in mind. If you're putting in your 2 weeks, just think about how your coworkers may feel. Obviously, you got to do what's best for you, but you could be screwing over your coworkers, and you want to burn as few bridges as possible, but at the same time, you got to do what's best for you. A toxic culture is a toxic culture, and a toxic environment will eat at you. That brings me to one of my last points. You take work home with you, and this is another opportunity or another reason to know that it's time to quit your job. If you're taking work home with you, and you're not work from home, like your job is not work from home, that's a sign to leave. That's a sign that it's eating at you. You're going to dream about this job. You are going to wake up hating your life. And that was me. That was me for the past, I would say, 2 months or so. I woke up hating life. I hated the fact that I had to sleep extremely early because I had to do two people's jobs. I hated the fact that my new manager was extremely, I guess, lazy and just didn't want to work, just pushed me to my limits, just got mad at me when I didn't have everything, lined up, ducks in a row for them to just present and, take credit for. I hated it. I hated the idea of not hanging out with friends because I had to sleep, or not hanging out with friends because I had to meal prep for the week coming ahead, or not hanging out with friends because I had to stay late for work. Just, it was affecting everything about my social life, my sleep, and my mood. Like, everybody around me could tell that I was just miserable. I was hating life. And it's time to quit. Obviously, if you have like $5 in the bank account and you need this job to survive, and maybe this doesn't apply to you, but I would say that it's time to start looking. Okay, it doesn't hurt to look. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you go through the entire process, you do all the interviews for another job, you can still say no at the very end. You can say no to the next offer and stay at your current job, and there's no harm there. Like, you could even utilize that interview process and everything that happened as a leverage to bump your current salary, and that's not a bad idea at all. And so I say all this to say that it's never like a bad idea to apply, but hopefully you guys know that don't feel like you have to stay at your job. Don't feel like you're bound because your parents said so, or because your friends said so, or because you're going to be judged for not having a job or for leaving a cushy job or a good job. If you're not happy, it's okay to leave. And I know some boomers might be completely cringing right now, but I'm here to tell you guys, like, again, assuming you don't have like, assuming you can hang for a little bit, right? Like you don't have like $5 in the bank account, assuming you have at least some savings, at least some security, it's not the worst thing in the world, guys. And I'm here to tell you that your mental sanity, your mental health is worth it. It's worth potentially, maybe I can't go on vacation. Maybe I can't go to this concert. Maybe I can't eat, like a famous barbecue place. But you know what? I'm happy when I wake up tomorrow. I'm happy when I hang out with my friends and I don't feel like I have to go. I don't feel like I have to rush home or do this or do that. It's worth it. And it does get better. And I hope you learned something. Yeah. Maybe consider it if you're on the fence. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Let me know if you like this video. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys later. Peace.